Welcome back to Malaysian Promise with your host Faidatul Shahira. Our Malaysian education system has rapidly evolved and developed since independence. We all know that our education Malaysian system has 5 stages, which are the preschool, the primary education, the secondary education, tertiary education, and also the postgraduate education. However, there are some issues which inhibit the development and success of our current education system. Therefore, our team has interviewed different stakeholders in order to gain different point of view about the issues. So, let us watch their perspectives. This is Puan Faidatul, the headmaster of SK Air Kuning.
So, regarding the issue that are currently happen in my schools, for example, like the access for all students. So, as we know that my school is suburban school, so we don't have that opportunity regarding the ICT and internet access like the urban schools. So that's the difference. Because we know that 21st century learning include the internet and ICT equipments. So we also don't have much allocation from the ministry for our school compared to the urban school. So we have problems regarding the facilities, and also we cannot be at the same par with the urban school. So I think that's one of the issues. So the next issue regarding access to all education for all pupils regarding their races or what. So in my school we have different races like Malay, Chinese, Indian, and also we have Orang Asli. So the problem here is the Orang Asli people, where they don't see any benefit in giving their children education. So they are focused their children on finding money and looking for work for their family to survive. So if these problems is continuously happen, so there will be a huge gap between Orang Asli and the other race. So I think that's also issue regarding the equity, where we need to emphasize on all race, all people to have proper education.
Now we are going to interview Nurul Izzah, the MP of Pematang Pau.
I know there are some issues regarding the accessibility for education to all. And I am aware that when the zero reject policy as well as the dropout prevention initiative was introduced by the government, there are problems in schools, especially for rural schools and special needs children. But any government, I'm not blaming the ministry, but any government, before you introduce the policies, you should equip the teachers. You should equip the schools with allocations, with facilities. And most of the schools, especially the rural schools, they could not enroll the children, especially special needs children, because they do not have adequate facilities in their schools as well as allocation. So I'm thinking, if the ministry could not provide the allocation and adequate facilities, how about the policies, the success of the policies? So these are the issues why the policies for accessibility to education for all cannot be achieved.
Okay, in addition, the issue of unity is also related to the accessibility for education to all children. So, for instance, the Special Integrated Program, the PPKI, for special needs children, do the children really work and learn hands in the class? And between the typical and normal children, are there any bullying cases among them? I'm not blaming the ministry, but we seldomly look into this case because we thought that the children can learn and blend in very well at school. But then, I think there are some issues that we need to look into when it comes to this unity issue in access for all children to education. And when I read the research, there are some research which have shown that students, especially the special needs children, develop anxiety, stress, and also behavioral problems because they have been bullied before. So I'm not blaming the ministry as a whole, but I think we have to find the solutions as soon as possible in order to attend to this issue.
Now we have Puan Mary from SK Pensiangan Sabah.
Hi, Miss Mary.
Hello.
We are from Malaysian Insiders.
Yes.
We're going to ask your perspectives about our issue, the education, access to education for all.
It's a tough question, you know. Okay, if we look back at the first aspiration of national aspiration in education, the first one, accessibility, it stated that there are 100% of enrollment of the students from preschool until secondary school, meaning that children need to have a proper education despite of their background, despite of their condition, whether they're special or typical students. But in this case, why there is still a the dropout of students in the rural area especially increases. So let's look back at the report by UNICEF 2019. It stated that there are 90% of enrollment of the students in the school. However, they also stated that there are dropout increases incline whether the students did not finish their schools. So in my opinion, I think that there are lots of various factors. For example, based on my 45 experience of teaching, the first one I think economical background, because if you see that the rural area, for example in Pensiangan, Sabah, it's actually quite difficult for the government to reach out the school. So there is no fund for them to improve their facilities, improve their meaning condition, whether they to have a proper education. So that's how the students do not feel it's very good for them to go to school. My opinion regarding the efficiency in accessibility of education, meaning the efficiency is the system that maximizes the student product, the student's outcome. But in my opinion, I think that we clearly didn't see from the system itself, but from the teacher competency. For example, in my school, yes, we have a novice teacher where the unexperienced teacher were sent here to be posted. Their competency is quite cannot help the students to achieve their potential fully. Because of what? Because there were lack of skills. They have maybe lack in experience itself. So I think that in order for them to increase their capability to teach the indigenous children, they need to have a full development meaning whether they need to have full basic knowledge, their own skills to teach the students, because the dropout increases.
We have heard the perspectives from different stakeholders about the issue accessibility to education for all children. So now we are moving forward to the second issue, which is the unity in education. So let us watch what are their points of view.
And this is Puan Lofa, one of the mothers in SJKC.
I sent all my children to SKJKC Kyonghua because of what? Because of the quality lah. Every month, every semester, I pay a lot, but the school give more to the children for their education, even though I pay a lot. For example, the LCD projector, they provide a good facilities for the teacher to teach the children. Other than that, also they have gym. The SK don't have any gym one. But you asked me about the equity. Yes, there are actually different equity in the SK school and the vernacular school, because I received complaint from my friends. They send their children to the SK school. They said that, for example, in the ICT class all the children don't have any access to computer. Compared to my children's school, each one of them have their computer to learn. But I want to tell you something there are also complaint from my children, because we are Malay, you know. We are Malay, absolutely correction. They said that my children said that the teacher quite biased for them, because my Malay or other races apart from the major races is quite minority in there. So even though they have a my children, it's okay as long as the facility is good, as long as you can learn better, you can further your study more, it's okay.
I have been posted in SJKT Tamil, Subramaniam, right after I have been graduated from IPG. But then I am the only Malay teacher there. The treatments, all the treatments from my colleagues, the headmaster herself, I am diagnosed with my doctor that I have major depression disorder, MDD. So, for example, whenever there is meeting, I need to understand what are they talking about. They don't consider me. Even if I talk about this to the headmaster, she asked me to learn and understand Tamil in a week. Can you imagine, in 7 days, how can I learn a language that is totally alien to me? And that's why whenever I'm at school, I feel stressed. I feel I cannot cope with the environment.
Now we have Datuk Shahrizad, the Minister of Women, Family and Community Development.
Okay, well, my opinion based on as one of the political leaders, as one of the higher authorities, we're actually looking at this issue regarding the unity in education, where it's very big issue for nowadays, because we have these very small matters, but these small matters lead to big matters. If we look at the bigger perspective, where there is especially the national type of school, where they see a segregation of races, but we as political leaders, we try to make initiative to closer the gap between the races, so there is no segregation of races, because we think that the development of the country is the most important thing, because that's what the nation needs from our people.
So, we have seen and listened to the perspectives from different stakeholders about the two current issues, which are the access for education to all children and unity in education. Therefore, every stakeholder, especially we Malaysian, have to take our roles in education for it to be a success. And I think that's all for our Malaysian Promise this week. And then, goodbye from me, your host, Fadatul Shahira. See you later.